and scream, oh yeah, 'cause we are the jam on crew and jamming on niggas that would do the...
These 10 tracks moved the crowd in the 80s but disappeared from history. Real talk from the archives. We're bringing you a New Orleans bounce blueprint from '86 that every Southern rapper sampled, the Roxanne Wars forgotten female warrior who battled with the best, and the Miami-based prototype that had the whole Southeast shaking before anyone gave the sound a name. This is Hip Hop Legends Archives, where we keep the culture alive. We fact-checked with Billboard archives, vinyl collectors, and the actual DJs who spun these records back when hip-hop was still finding its voice. Let's dig through the crates and resurrect 10 forgotten bangers from hip-hop's golden foundation. The 1980s gave us the foundations of hip-hop culture, but not every classic got the recognition it deserved. While Run DMC, LL Cool J, and Eric B. and Rakim dominated the airwaves, dozens of incredible tracks slipped through the cracks. These weren't weak records, they were legitimate bangers that rocked parties, influenced the next generation, and pushed the culture forward. So why did they disappear? Sometimes it was bad distribution, sometimes the label folded, sometimes the artist couldn't get a follow-up deal. But today we're bringing these forgotten classics back into the light. Let's start with number 10. Number 10, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Fast Life from 1988.
How long can a good thing last?
Andre Harrell, who later founded Uptown Records and discovered Puff Daddy, started as one half of this duo on Profile Records. Fast Life combined the boom-bap drums of the late 80s with storytelling about the dangers of street hustling. The production had that raw New York energy with punchy kicks and crisp snares over a slick bass line. The track got regional airplay, particularly on New York radio stations, but never broke nationally the way their earlier novelty track Genius Rap from '81 had. By the time Fast Life dropped, Harrell was already transitioning from artist to executive. He'd go on to shape 90s R&B and hip-hop as a label boss, but this track showed he had bars before he had boardrooms. Fast Life deserved more shine than it got, representing that crucial moment when hip-hop was maturing from party records to street narratives. Number 9, Cash Money and Marvelous, Ugly People Be Quiet from 1988.
To this tune, don't knock it till you try it. People ugly, ugly people, will you please be quiet?
Yeah, that title sounds wild now, but this Philly duo brought an infectious energy that had everybody laughing and dancing at the same time. The track featured call-and-response verses, playground-style disses, and that classic late 80s boom-bap production. Cash Money and Marvelous had a chemistry that reminded people of early Run DMC, trading bars back and forth with perfect timing. They dropped this on Sleeping Bag Records, an independent label that also had EPMD and Nice and Smooth on the roster. The 12-inch single got spins in Philly, New York, and parts of the DMV, but the duo couldn't capitalize with a strong follow-up. Distribution issues plagued independent labels in the late 80s, and even dope tracks struggled to reach beyond regional markets. If you caught this at a house party between 88 and 90, you know how hard it hit. The chemistry was undeniable, the production was crisp, and the vibe was pure 88 energy. Number 8, Rodney O and Joe Cooley, Everlasting Bass from 1988. This West Coast duo from Los Angeles helped lay the foundation for what would become G-Funk and gangsta rap. Everlasting Bass featured the deepest, most window-rattling bass you could press onto vinyl in '88. Produced by DJ Cooley, the track used the TR-808 kick drum turned up to distortion levels, creating that earthquake rumble that West Coast cars would be famous for. Rodney O delivered his verses with a laid-back flow that contrasted perfectly with the aggressive production. The track got major love in Los Angeles, particularly in car culture where hydraulics and sound systems were becoming central to hip-hop identity. But East Coast radio programmers didn't know what to do with that much bass, and the track stayed regional. What Rodney O and Joe Cooley created was a blueprint, though. Listen to this track, then listen to Dr. Dre's The Chronic 4 years later, you'll hear the DNA. Number 7, Gucci Crew 2, Sally, That Girl, from 1988.
Sally, that girl.
This Miami group brought that early bass music sound that would evolve into Miami bass and booty music. Sally told the story of a girl who thought she was too fine for the crew, with a bouncing bass line that made everybody move. The production featured the Roland TR-808 again, but this time with a different flavor than the West Coast sound, faster tempos and more syncopated rhythms. The track reportedly sold over 100,000 copies, mostly in the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, and parts of Texas. Gucci Crew 2 was part of a Miami scene that included Uncle Luke, MCADE, and other pioneers who were creating a distinctly Southern hip-hop identity. But when critics and media talked about hip-hop in the 80s, they focused almost exclusively on New York and Los Angeles. The South was building its own sound, and tracks like Sally were the foundation. Without Gucci Crew 2, you don't get Outkast, Lil Jon, or the bass music explosion of the 90s. Number 6, Steady B, Let the Hustlers Play from 1986.
Do what I say, okay? No interruption. Now let the hustlers play.
Philadelphia's Steady B was supposed to be the next big thing out of Philly after Schoolie D put the city on the map. Let the Hustlers Play featured Steady's aggressive delivery over hard-hitting drums and a sinister bass line. The production had that raw '86 sound, minimal but effective, letting the MC's voice dominate the track. Steady B actually had a decent run on Jive Records, dropping several albums between 86 and 91, but this debut single remains his most memorable track. He collaborated with other Philly artists like Cool C and had street credibility throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Sadly, Steady B's story took a dark turn in the 90s when he was involved in a bank robbery that left a police officer dead, and he's been incarcerated since 96. But Let the Hustlers Play captured a moment when Philly hip-hop had its own distinct sound, harder than New York's party rap but more structured than LA's emerging gangsta style. This was authentic street reporting before anyone called it that. We're halfway through our list of forgotten 80s bangers, and if you're feeling this deep dive into hip-hop history, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss when we drop more knowledge. We're out here every week bringing you the stories, the tracks, and the culture that built this thing we love. We've got a community of real heads who remember when hip-hop was boomboxes and breakdancing, and we want you to be part of it. Plus, your boy needs to know these videos are reaching the right people, so drop a comment and let me know which of these tracks you actually remember rocking back in the day. Alright, let's get back to the countdown. Number 5, The Real Roxanne, Bang Zoom Let's Go Go, from 1986. Most people know about the Roxanne Wars battle records between UTFO, Roxanne Shante, and the various Roxannes, but The Real Roxanne, born Adelita Martinez, dropped legitimate hits. Bang Zoom was produced by Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, giving it that Hollis Queens sound with hard drums and a catchy hook. The track climbed into the top 20 on the R&B charts, reportedly peaking around number 17, making it a legitimate hit. So why is The Real Roxanne forgotten? The music industry in the 80s didn't know how to market female MCs beyond their first hit, and label support often dried up quickly. The Real Roxanne could spit, she held her own against Shante in the battle, and she had Jam Master Jay producing her. But by 88, she'd left the music industry frustrated by lack of promotional support. Bang Zoom stands as proof that female MCs were holding it down in the 80s with skills and hit records, even when the industry failed to properly recognize them. Number 4, Whistle, Just Buggin' from 1986.
We don't need robbing, stealing, or mugging. In fact, don't take it seriously. We're only bugging.
This Brooklyn group blended hip-hop with R&B in a way that predicted the New Jack Swing movement that would dominate the late 80s. Just Buggin' featured harmonized vocals over a hip-hop beat, with rap verses and sung choruses creating a hybrid sound. The track was a legit hit, reportedly reaching number 7 on the R&B charts and even crossing over to pop radio. With that kind of success, why did Whistle disappear? The group got caught in a label dispute with Select Records, delaying their follow-up album at a crucial moment when they should have been capitalizing on the hit. By the time they released new music, the momentum was gone and the sound had evolved. But Just Buggin' was everywhere in 86, from block parties to roller skating rinks to radio stations. If you were trying to impress somebody at the rink, this was on the mixtape. Whistle proved that hip-hop and singing could blend seamlessly years before anyone called it hip-hop soul. Number 3, Sweet Tea, It's My Beat from 1986. Queen's MC Sweet Tea, cousin of Herbie Love Bug Azor who produced Salt and Peppa, came out with one of the hardest tracks of 86. It's My Beat featured aggressive braggadocio lyrics delivered with a commanding voice over stripped-down drums and a monster bass line. Sweet Tea wasn't doing the cutesy female MC thing that labels tried to push, she was straight up battling anybody, male or female. The production was minimal but devastating. Just drums, bass, and scratches, letting Sweet Tea's voice dominate every second. The track got spins on New York radio and sold well as a 12-inch single on the independent Vinny D Records. But Sweet Tea struggled to get a solid album deal, and when she finally released an album in 88, it didn't get the promotional push it needed. Female MCs in the 80s faced twice the obstacles, having to prove their skills while fighting for label support and radio play. It's My Beat showed that women could deliver battle rhymes as hard as anybody, and Sweet Tea deserves her flowers for holding down Queens in 86. Number 2, The Showboys, Drag Rap Trigger Man from 1986. This track from a New York group became the blueprint for an entire regional sound that they never got credit for. The drum pattern from drag rap, particularly the Triggerman beat in the middle section, became the foundational rhythm for New Orleans bounce music. How influential was this beat? Juveniles backed that ass up. Lil Wayne's early Cash Money tracks, BG Turk, basically every New Orleans rapper from the 90s and 2000s used this drum pattern. The Showboys' original track was an electro-rap hybrid with vocoder vocals and drum machine programming that sounded futuristic in 86, but the group never followed up with another hit, and most people who sampled the Triggerman beat didn't even know where it came from. New Orleans producers like Manny Fresh built entire careers on this rhythm. You could argue that drag rap is one of the most influential hip-hop tracks ever made, but the Showboys got lost to history while their beat conquered the South. That's the ultimate forgotten one-hit wonder, the track that birthed a movement while the artist faded away. Number 1, Nucleus, Jam On It from 1984. Wait, you might be thinking, I remember Jam On It, how is this forgotten? Here's the thing. While the track itself gets occasional oldies radio play, the group Nucleus and their massive contribution to electro-funk hip-hop is completely overlooked. Jam On It blended breakbeat hip-hop with electro-funk synths and vocoders, creating a sound that influenced everyone from Africa Bambaataa to the Egyptian Lover to the entire West Coast electro scene. The track reportedly sold over 2 million copies worldwide, going gold in multiple countries. Nucleus was led by Ben Cosmo DeSenek, a Brooklyn MC and producer who understood both the hip-hop and the electronic music sides of the culture. But when Run DMC and the Beastie Boys shifted hip-hop toward rock guitars in '86, the electro-funk sound fell out of favor, and Nucleus couldn't adapt. They dropped follow-up albums, but nothing matched Jam On It's success. Here's what people forget. Without Nucleus and tracks like Jam On It, there's no Miami bass, no West Coast electro, no foundation for Dr. Dre's synthesizer work on The Chronic. This is the most important forgotten hit of the '80s, a track everybody knows but an artist nobody remembers. These 10 tracks represent just a fraction of the incredible music that slipped through the cracks in the 1980s. Every one of these artists contributed something real to hip-hop culture, whether it was a new sound, a regional style, or just an undeniable banger that moved the crowd. The 80s were about building the foundation, and not everybody who laid bricks got their name on the building. But we remember, and we're here to make sure these stories don't disappear. How many of these tracks did you actually know before watching this video? Did we miss your favorite forgotten 80s gem? The beauty of hip-hop history is there are always more stories to tell, more tracks to rediscover, more artists who deserve their flowers. If you made it this far, you're a real one, and I need you to do 3 things for me. First, smash that like button so YouTube knows that deep dive hip-hop history matters to people. Second, subscribe to Hip Hop Legends Archives and hit the notification bell, because we're dropping knowledge like this every single week. Third, and this is the most important one, drop a comment and tell me which forgotten 80s track you think we should cover in a future video. Maybe you've got that regional 12-inch that only got pressed 1,000 times but rocked your whole city. We're building a community of real hip-hop heads who remember when this was about the culture, not the clout, and we want your voice in the conversation. Keep the culture alive, y'all. This is Hip Hop Legends Archives. Peace.